Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this short webinar on various important aspects of business. But apart from that, the basic idea is to share about these sort of knowledge activities which we can take it further. These are all the faculties of my tabs and my home tuitions who are trying to explain the various nitty-gritties of one of the most important topics right now. And mind you, every single topic has a complete practical application. You may talk about accounting, you may talk about economics, and even for the direct taxes, like whatever you study has an applicability in your business or even in your studies itself. So, I mean, the education and your work can go hand in hand when you're taking into consideration getting into these sort of studies as far as it may be an income tax concerned. So, I thought, why not just discuss about what exactly how the income tax is framed? Because normally we as a student, when we study, we consider it as our marks, like, we get 40 marks, 50 marks, 60 marks, whatever is required, and we are sorted. But income tax law itself uh, has a practical applicability even within your own work. Let's say, even if you want to consider to get into this sort of as a consultant for income tax, or if you are getting into a higher professional course like CA, CS, ICWA, you need to have a good uh, knowledge of income tax law, and it requires to start from the basics. And that's why even I have started over here from the basics. The income tax law, any law in India, has come under the frame of the constitution. We are a democratic country, so there is a constitution of India which runs all the law, and accordingly the income tax law also flows from the constitution of India. It comes from a provision where it says that no tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of law, because of which it gives a power to the central and state government, empowers them to levy taxes on us. And when we are saying about the taxes, now how do they determine which tax will the central government and state government levy? It depends again through the constitution, where a seventh schedule specifies the list of laws which can be framed by the center, list of laws which can be framed by the state, and the list of laws which can be framed concurrently by the state and the center. So income tax falls within the union list, which we call it under the seventh schedule, which under the parliament's exclusive power, the law is framed, as per which the Income Tax Act is a significant, and it is entered into entry number 82 of a union tax list, which gives a power to the parliament to levy taxes on us in the form of income tax. Uh, it is levied on any individual, HUF, AOP, BOI, firm, and company. The components of the tax laws. So let's say now, when we want to understand that how does this actually frame up, it is very important for us to understand how it has been formed in a way that what we need to read to understand it. So it starts with a basic structure of income tax law. So there is an Income Tax Act 1961 which governs and guides us for the income tax related thing. Then there are Annual Finance Act. Every year we wait on 29 February or 28 February for our finance minister to come and give us the deliberation about the finances, about how the country as a whole has maintained its finances, its fiscal deficit. And one of the other provisions for the finance minister is to declare the tax related amendments. The reason is also there why there are so many amendments happening on day-to-day basis, on every year basis, which I'll share in the forthcoming slide. Then there are income tax rules. So a law has been framed by the parliament, but there are certain nitty-gritties, like for example, how will you file your income tax return? What will be a part of your income tax return? What has to be shown in your income tax return is guided by the income tax rules. So Income Tax Act gives a justification that this is what has to be informed in your income tax return, and income tax rules frame the whole context of your returns. Then there are circulars and notification, which are against a guiding principles for the income tax laws. And lastly, it's a legal decision of the courts. So the Income Tax Act or the parliament, once it has framed the law, it is not possible on a day-to-day basis to understand what are the nuances or how it is applicable to our businesses or to our work, and where the tax comes for the department. So there are various litigations which happen between the assessee, between the government or the department, which is being settled at the court, and they frame the decisions which becomes a law of a land and the state. It determines, which I'll be discussing it further. So these are the basic components. I will like to elaborate further on them. So the Income Tax Act, uh, this act itself, I've spoken more about the act, how it has been come into picture. But if you see, traditionally, the ancient India, when we discuss about Arthashastra or Manusmriti, we understand that income tax or the direct taxes have always been the part of the Indian ancient culture since start. So every time at that moment also it was considered that a subject need to be taxed by the king. However, it only the affluent should be taxed on the higher rate, and then the poor. And we see right now also these same things happening even in the current scenarios where we have a complete different tax slabs, and this is where it comes from, that we are taxing on the higher scale for the affluents and lower for the poor people, and that's the way the whole structure is framed. Secondly, there were at that point of time various famine taxes, even taxes for the wars. So that same thing which we are seeing right now also. So if you remember, when we had a 1971 war, our then prime minister declared the more taxes to be elaborated, to be collected, even from the agriculture. The reason was plain and simple, that they wanted taxation so that they can actually help the government to meet the expenses which they will have to incur at the time of war. So right now also we are facing the same sort of a situation, a pandemic sort of situation, where we all are stuck in our houses, where there are a lot of stimulus packages coming from our finance minister. The reason is within this framework itself, and I would not be shocked to even see at a later point of time that they try and charge, collect more taxes, or probably increase more ambit of people who get into the income tax law over a period of time, or probably is running into deficits. So it second is the finance act. We our finance minister daily and elaborating on certain financial packets, because this is a pandemic situation, and that's why this sort of thing, which has been not been seen by anybody probably for last 100 years. But now this scenario requires a very important steps to be taken, and that's why we're seeing our finance minister. But however, normally the finance minister is more in picture at the time when there is an elaboration of the finance bill at the parliamentary budget. At that time, the finance bill is passed. In the finance bill, apart from the other deliberation, one of the deliberation is in relevance to Income Tax Act. There are various amendments which take care into the which have been taken care into the sections within the law. So anything which has been missed out, or probably which should not be taxed. So let us understand, when a government is taxing us, it is a very socio-economic forum which has been taken into consideration over here. So there are certain amount of taxes which they want us to they want to collect, they will collect, and there are certain things which they want to exempt it. So they do it by the way of amendments into the finance act, which is again becomes a part of our income tax act. Income Tax Act 1961 is a very very old act which has been very well been inspired by the British law, because we have been a colony for them, and we understood how the law is framed through them. So, and that's why we see a lot of amendments happening right now. I mean, some of the provisions have become redundant, but they are still there. And so, when the need comes, or when the government realizes that this particular law needs to change, they put it up. So, ease of doing business they consider. So, they provide some deeming provision where your return filing and your taxation becomes easier. That is being taken care of. Under the first schedule of the Finance Act. There are four parts which elaborates your tax rate applicable for that current assessment year or the foregoing year. It provides the rate at which the tax will be deductible. So we always, whenever whatever income we earn, it may be in a form of professional income, salary, our taxes get deducted. So the rate which determines the tax being deducted is through part two of of the first schedule of the Finance Act. Now we saw that in 2 days back, our finance minister declared that there will be 25% rate cut in the TDS rates. So now there will be an amendment to the Finance Act which will be passed. So again, there are legal provisions to it whereby they can do, because it's a law of the land at the end of the day. There are part threes which determine how do we calculate income tax for under the head salaries for computation of advance tax. So basically, it's a structure of slab rate. And then there are rules for computing net agricultural income. Mind you, Income Tax Act does not have a provision to charge taxes on the agricultural income. It is an exempt income. There are other provisions which probably, if I get into that, we might end up having 1.5 hours of session or probably 2 hours of session on understanding how agricultural income is exempted. So to just cut it short, Income Tax Act does not take into consideration the agricultural income it earns. So the Finance Act has a computation which becomes a part 4, which considers the levy of the taxes on that net agricultural income. Mind you, as per the Constitution of India, the agricultural income does not come within the ambit of taxation. It is more or less exempt, but there are certain agricultural income which becomes taxable, and that is being considered over here. Then the third is income tax rule. As I explained, it's a deliberation provided by the CBDT, which empowers for making of the rules. So I give you a very simple example that the act says that your ITR has to be filed. They say is that every year you have to file the ITR. But bhai, ITR hai kya? What is the form of ITR? So that is determined by the income tax rules. So income tax rules frame that what content or a content has to be covered within the ITR, and accordingly it has been presented to you. So there are various rules for various sections under the Income Tax Act, which is framed. So if you want to study income tax, it is necessary that you need to have a good knowledge of rules as well, because it becomes a guiding principle as far as the act is concerned. Again, there are circulars. So circulars are basically issued by CBDT, again, Central Board of Direct Taxes, from time to time to provide you a clarity on certain scope or